Hi everyone, DeGe here. Just a quick little update before we get into the episode. So, since we are 10 days away from Halloween, every day for the next 10 days I'm going to be putting up a one-off and maybe a couple of episodes with Gabbs, but they're primarily going to be one-offs of me reviewing and discussing horror movies. I'm going to be doing some of my favorites, and then I'm going to be doing some lesser-known flicks. So today's episode will be a lesser-known flick, and hopefully you will enjoy. So without further ado, let's start the episode. The Witch is a movie that I've known about for a pretty long time, and I've always really wanted to see it, but never got the opportunity to because it was never playing in any theaters by me. So when it finally came on Amazon Prime, I thought it'd be a perfect opportunity to watch it and talk about it for this series that I'm starting. So pretty much what The Witch is about a family who are very, very, very religious, and they get kicked out of this big town and they have to go live in the woods, pretty much. I should probably mention that this was around the time when the Pilgrims first started coming to America. So, you see all of these Native Americans, a lot of horse-drawn carriages, very old architecture and stuff like that, especially the language what everybody spoke. Really, they did a great job with the production design of this movie. It all felt very, very historically accurate. So they go and live in the woods on what they think is hallowed and blessed ground, when actually it is surrounded by a coven of witches, but they don't know that. So right off the bat, this movie looks absolutely fantastic. The cinematography is out of this world. It's out of this world. It is gorgeous. It is mixed with hues of blue and black, and they all mesh together to make a beautiful looking movie. It's a very, very slow paced movie. It takes its time setting up its characters, especially with the scares. And now a lot of people will make the argument that not a lot happens in this movie, and they make a fair point. Not a lot does happen in this movie, but when the scares do happen, they are horrifying. This movie is terrifying. So with this slow pace, the director really establishes himself as a cool and calculated type of director. Robert Eggers he's on my radar now. Let's just keep it at that. But he really takes his time setting scenes up and making sure the characters have enough development so where when something actually does happen in the movie, you actually do care for their well-being and stuff like that. The performances are great all around. The father and the mother give very, very good performances, who are known for their work on Game of Thrones, and the main character, Tommen, is very, very good as well. She gives a great performance that is also very subdued and very cold and frightened, and just everything about the performances in this movie really sells the fact that, one, they're living in this time period, and two, that they are horrified and are trying to figure out what is going on and what is happening to them. So as for the scares are very, very sparse and paced exceptionally well. Now, while they may be sparse, that doesn't mean that they're not scary, because this movie is fucking terrifying. This movie is all about tension. You can cut the tension with a butter knife, and everything about it is just so, I don't really know how to explain it. It's just so, it takes its time. It's very slow. It builds up, especially with the music and the sounds that the director chooses to put at very specific points to make sure that some shit is about to go down. There's a lot of scenes in this movie where it's just characters staring deep off into the forest as the sun sets. And there's also a lot of scenes where the characters are going and trying to figure out what is happening, if there are actually witches or if they're just imagining it all. It's a very dreamlike, it devolves into a very dreamlike sort of trance for all of these characters, because again, like the viewer, you have no idea if these witches are real or not, and I won't spoil if they are or not, but still, when scares do happen, these witches might be real and they might not be real, because all the scares are definitely explainable. They don't wander out into this very supernatural territory. They stay very grounded in reality, and that makes it all the more horrifying. So Performances are great. Production design is phenomenal. Cinematography is phenomenal, and the sound design is very very good as well. The music is incredible. It's very subdued and very quiet at points, and then when scares happen, it's thumping and abrasive and aggressive, but making use of the instruments that were around during this time period. So there isn't a synth score. It's orchestral. It's very very true to what this time period was all about. And back to the sound design, when it's very they live in this very small hut, and everything is very claustrophobic, so all of the sounds are elevated, and you can hear every little creak and every little scratch on the wall, or every time like an animal makes a sound outside. You can hear everything, and it's a very claustrophobic environment, so you can hear what the characters hear. It's almost as like you're a character in this movie, the way it's filmed, the way the sound design works, and the way the performances are handled. It almost feels like you're a part of this movie. And that's what I love about this movie so much. It's very interactive, so to speak. And while the story doesn't really go anywhere, it's mainly just about this family and their day-to-day lives as this burden is thrust upon them, along with the burdens of trying to live out in the wilderness. It's a very basic story. It's not going to win any awards. It's not breaking any barriers, but it is compelling enough to where, mixed with the performances and everything about the movie, it's serviceable. Let's just keep it. It's serviceable. It's not some factory churned out story. It's a story that is just there, where in a movie that doesn't really need to have a story, in a sense, because it doesn't really follow any narrative structure, so to speak. But overall, I absolutely adore this movie. I definitely recommend you check it out if you have Amazon Prime. Definitely worth the watch. I would let's see. I would raise I would raise 9 possessed goats out of 10. Boy, I fucked that up, but 9 out of 10 is a very, very good movie. I highly recommend you see it. So tomorrow, Gabbs is coming over, and we're going to watch the movie Hush, which is also another really good movie that I really like, but Gabbs is going to be seeing it for the first time. So I hope you all stick around, because I really am looking forward to doing this series. And we also have a couple of surprises up our sleeves that we'll probably mention in the next episode. So thanks for watching, everybody, and have a great week.